Have you ever felt like you're constantly battling your own emotions, like no matter how hard you try, stress, frustration, and anxiety always find a way to creep back in? It's exhausting. But what if I told you that true emotional strength isn't about suppressing your emotions or forcing yourself to be tough? It's about learning how to master them. Life is unpredictable. People will test your patience. Challenges will come when you least expect them. But the way you respond, that's where your true power lies. The ancient Stoics knew this well. They didn't chase after control over the outside world. Instead, they focused on the one thing they could always control: their own minds. In today's video, we're diving deep into 10 powerful Stoic habits that will transform the way you handle stress, setbacks, and emotions. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to developing unshakable resilience, staying calm in the face of adversity, and regaining control over your emotional world. We'll cover practical strategies you can apply immediately, how to stop worrying about things beyond your control, how to pause before reacting emotionally, how to develop unbreakable mental discipline, and much more. These are not just abstract ideas. They are battle-tested principles that have helped countless individuals navigate life's toughest moments with grace and strength. So stick around until the end, because the final habit is the most powerful one. It's the key to unlocking true emotional freedom. And if you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know which habit resonates with you the most. Now, let's get started. Habit 1. Focus only on what you can control. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by things beyond your control, stressing over other people's opinions, dreading unpredictable events, or feeling stuck because life isn't going your way, you're not alone. It's easy to get caught up in these emotions. But here's a simple truth. Your power lies in where you place your focus. The Stoics believed that emotional strength comes from recognizing what is within our control and letting go of everything else. Instead of wasting energy on things that are beyond your influence, focus only on what you can change: your thoughts, actions, and mindset. When you embrace this principle, you stop feeling like a victim of circumstance and start feeling in charge of your own life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is one of the most powerful Stoic teachings, yet so many of us struggle to put it into practice. We check our phones obsessively, waiting for messages that may never come. We replay conversations in our heads, wondering if we said the wrong thing. We let the moods and actions of others dictate our own happiness. But what if, instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, we trained ourselves to redirect our energy toward the things we can actually influence? Imagine how much lighter and more in control you'd feel if you stopped obsessing over external factors and started focusing entirely on your own responses. Picture this. You're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. The clock is ticking, and frustration is building. You grip the wheel tighter, maybe mutter a few curse words, and feel your stress levels rising. But ask yourself, can you control the traffic? No. Can you control how you respond to it? Absolutely. You can take a deep breath, use the extra time to listen to an audiobook, or simply accept that being frustrated won't change the situation. This small shift in mindset doesn't just reduce stress, it reclaims your emotional energy. Instead of feeling powerless, you regain control. The same principle applies to dealing with difficult people. Maybe a coworker constantly criticizes your ideas, or a friend doesn't respond to your messages as quickly as you'd like. You might instinctively react with frustration or resentment. But pause for a moment. Can you control how they act? No. Can you control how you respond? Absolutely. Instead of reacting emotionally, you can choose patience, set boundaries, or simply not let their actions dictate your mood. The moment you detach from the need to control others, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. You stop giving other people the power to dictate how you feel. This is emotional resilience at its core, understanding that your peace is in your hands, not someone else's. But let's go even deeper. Have you ever been caught in a loop of worrying about the future? Maybe you have an upcoming exam, a job interview, or a difficult conversation you need to have. Your mind races with what-if scenarios. What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if something goes wrong? But here's the truth. Worrying about the future changes nothing. The Stoics remind us that the only thing we truly own is the present moment. Instead of agonizing over hypothetical situations, focus on what you can do right now. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think about how much mental energy is wasted on worries that never actually come true. How often do we create stress in our own minds by obsessing over outcomes we can't control? The way forward is simple. Focus only on what you can do today. Letting go of what you can't control doesn't mean you don't care. It means you prioritize your peace of mind. When we focus on what's beyond our control, we feel anxious, helpless, and frustrated. But when we direct our attention toward our actions, our choices, and our mindset, we build resilience. We cultivate a sense of inner stability that isn't easily shaken by outside forces. And that is the essence of emotional strength. So how do you apply this in daily life? Start each morning with a simple practice. Ask yourself, what do I have control over today? Maybe it's your attitude toward a challenging situation. Maybe it's your effort in a project. Maybe it's how you treat the people around you. Whatever it is, commit to focusing only on those things. And when you catch yourself stressing over something outside your control, pause and remind yourself, this is not where my energy belongs. Redirect your focus to something productive. If you're worried about an exam, focus on studying. If you're anxious about a job interview, focus on preparing as best as you can. If you're upset about someone's behavior, focus on how you choose to respond. This is the foundation of emotional strength. This is how you reclaim your power. With time, this shift in perspective becomes second nature. You'll begin to notice when you're wasting energy on things you can't change, and you'll redirect that energy towards something that serves you. Your stress levels will decrease. Your emotions will feel more manageable. And most importantly, you'll feel a sense of control over your own life that no external force can take away. This isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about developing a habit that will transform how you experience life. Because when you focus only on what you can control, nothing can shake you. Habit 2. Practice the inner pause before reacting. Have you ever reacted to a situation in the heat of the moment, only to regret it later? Maybe you snapped at a loved one, sent an angry email, or made a decision based purely on emotion. In those moments, it feels like your emotions are in control, pulling you into actions you can't take back. But what if you had the ability to pause, to take a step back before reacting? This is one of the most powerful tools for emotional strength, and it's deeply rooted in Stoic wisdom. The Stoics believed that between stimulus and response, there is a space, a moment where we have the power to choose our reaction. This inner pause is what separates a wise, composed person from someone who is ruled by impulse. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that no matter what situation arises, whether it's criticism, frustration, or disappointment, you always have a choice. You can either react immediately and risk losing control, or you can pause, reflect, and respond with wisdom. Imagine a scenario. You're in a meeting and a colleague dismisses your idea in front of everyone. Instantly, you feel your heart race. A wave of anger rises inside you. Your instinct is to fire back, to prove them wrong, to defend yourself. But if you do, the conversation escalates. Tensions rise, and you may say something you later regret. Now, imagine an alternative. Instead of reacting instantly, you take a deep breath. You allow the initial wave of emotion to pass. You ask yourself, what's the best way to respond here? Maybe you choose to stay calm and ask for clarification. Maybe you wait until later to address the issue privately. By practicing the inner pause, you maintain control over yourself instead of letting emotions dictate your actions. This practice isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. When you feel a surge of anger, frustration, or anxiety, don't act on it immediately. Instead, acknowledge it, sit with it, and give yourself time to process. One powerful method is to count to 5 before speaking. This simple pause interrupts the automatic emotional reaction and gives your rational mind time to step in. Another technique is deep breathing, inhaling slowly for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and exhaling for 4 seconds. This slows down your nervous system and helps bring clarity to your thoughts. The benefits of this habit extend far beyond just handling difficult conversations. Think about moments when you receive unexpected bad news, when someone cuts you off in traffic, or when technology fails at the worst possible time. In each of these moments, your emotional reaction wants to take over. But when you train yourself to pause, you begin to see these situations for what they truly are, just events, not personal attacks. The more you practice, the more automatic this response becomes. Over time, you'll find yourself feeling less reactive, more patient, and far more in control of your emotional world. The inner pause also transforms relationships. How often do conflicts arise simply because people react without thinking? A hurtful comment leads to an argument. A misunderstanding escalates into resentment. But when you practice pausing, you become someone who listens before speaking, who responds thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. This strengthens connections, builds trust, and reduces unnecessary conflict. When you master the ability to pause, you gain a tremendous advantage in communication, decision-making, and emotional resilience. Seneca once said, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." And that's exactly what this habit gives you: power over yourself. The power to remain steady in the face of provocation. The power to choose your words carefully. The power to respond in a way that aligns with your values rather than being pulled into emotional chaos. So how can you apply this right now? The next time you feel a surge of emotion, anger, frustration, or anxiety, pause for just 5 seconds. Don't react. Just breathe. Ask yourself, is this response going to serve me? Will this matter in an hour, in a day, in a year? The simple act of pausing before reacting is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. With time, you'll find that situations that once triggered you no longer have the same power. You'll become calmer, more composed, and more in control. And that's true emotional strength. That's the power of Stoicism in action. Habit 3. Be honest with yourself. How often do we lie to ourselves without even realizing it? We tell ourselves that we're fine when we're struggling. We convince ourselves that we're happy in a job, a relationship, or a situation that deep down we know isn't right for us. We blame others for our problems when, in reality, we are avoiding responsibility. But the truth is, real emotional strength begins with radical honesty with yourself. If you can't be honest about who you are, what you want, and what is holding you back, you will always feel trapped. The Stoics understood this deeply. They saw self-deception as one of the greatest obstacles to growth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." This is the mindset of someone who prioritizes truth over comfort, and that's exactly what we must do if we want to build real resilience. Think about it. How many times have you made excuses for yourself? Have you ever blamed circumstances for your failures, when in reality you didn't put in the effort? Have you convinced yourself that you don't care about something simply because you were afraid to try? We all do this, but every time we choose self-deception over truth, we limit our ability to grow. We remain stuck in the same cycles of frustration, dissatisfaction, and regret. Imagine someone who constantly complains about their life, how they never have time, how they're unlucky, how others get all the breaks. But if you dig deeper, you realize that they waste hours scrolling through social media. They avoid difficult conversations. They refuse to take risks. Their situation isn't just bad luck. It's the result of choices they won't admit to. And that's the hard truth. Many of our struggles are self-inflicted. But here's the good news. If we have the courage to be honest with ourselves, we regain control. If we admit that we procrastinate, we can fix it. If we acknowledge that we struggle with self-discipline, we can work on it. If we accept that we've been running from difficult truths, we can finally face them. Seneca said, "A consciousness of wrongdoing is the first step to salvation." In other words, awareness is the key to change. So how do we practice this? Start by observing your thoughts and actions without judgment. The next time you make an excuse, pause and ask yourself, is this really true, or am I just avoiding discomfort? When you face a setback, instead of blaming external factors, ask, what role did I play in this? What could I have done differently? Journaling is a powerful tool for this. Each night, take a few minutes to reflect on your day. Where did you act in alignment with your values? Where did you avoid the truth? What emotions did you suppress? Writing forces you to confront your thoughts in a way that thinking alone does not. It makes your patterns visible, and once you see them clearly, you can begin to change them. Another powerful exercise is asking for honest feedback from people you trust. Sometimes we are blind to our own flaws, but others can see them clearly. If you have a mentor, a close friend, or a family member who truly wants the best for you, ask them, what's one thing you think I need to work on? It might be uncomfortable to hear, but discomfort is where growth happens. This level of self-awareness will transform your relationships as well. When you are honest with yourself, you become more authentic with others. You stop pretending to be someone you're not. You stop seeking validation from people who don't align with your values. You become more grounded, more confident, and more at peace. Think about how much energy people waste trying to maintain a false image, pretending to be happy when they're not, acting like they have everything figured out when they don't, suppressing their emotions instead of dealing with them. It's exhausting, but when you embrace the truth, you free yourself from that burden. And this isn't just about personal growth, it's about living with integrity. When you are honest with yourself, you make better decisions. You don't stay in toxic relationships just because you're afraid to be alone. You don't settle for a job you hate just because it feels safe. You don't waste years chasing things that don't actually matter to you. You align your life with your true values. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, commit to complete honesty with yourself. Notice when you start making excuses. Pay attention to when you avoid difficult truths. Write down one uncomfortable reality you've been avoiding and decide what you're going to do about it. This practice isn't easy. It requires courage. But the reward is true freedom. Freedom from self-deception, freedom from regret, and freedom to become the person you were meant to be. Habit 4. Reflect on daily events. At the end of each day, how often do you take a moment to reflect, to pause and examine your thoughts, actions, and emotions? In the rush of daily life, it's easy to move from one task to the next, never stopping to ask, what did I learn today? What could I have done better? But this practice, self-reflection, is one of the most powerful habits for emotional strength. The Stoics believed that a life unexamined is a life wasted, and they saw daily reflection as essential for growth, wisdom, and resilience. Marcus Aurelius, in his personal writings, constantly reviewed his own actions, asking himself whether he had lived according to his values. He once wrote, "At every moment keep a close watch on all that you do and say, and ask yourself, is this necessary?" This wasn't just philosophy, it was a way of life. The Stoics didn't believe in blindly going through the motions. They believed in awareness, in conscious improvement, in living each day with intention. Think about the last time you made a mistake or reacted in a way you regretted. Maybe you lost your temper, made an impulsive decision, or allowed fear to stop you from taking action. Now ask yourself, did you take the time to understand why? Or did you simply move on, hoping it wouldn't happen again? Without reflection, we are doomed to repeat the same patterns. We remain stuck, making the same mistakes, falling into the same emotional traps. But when we take even a few minutes at the end of the day to reflect, we gain the ability to course correct, to improve, and to break free from the habits that hold us back. Imagine someone training for a marathon. If they simply run every day without ever evaluating their progress, they may never improve. But if they review their performance, what worked, what didn't, where they need to adjust, they become stronger, faster, and more efficient. The same principle applies to emotional strength. Without self-examination, there is no growth. One of the best ways to practice this is through journaling. At the end of the day, take just 5 minutes to ask yourself a few simple questions. What did I do well today? Where did I struggle? How did I react to challenges? And was it the way I wanted to respond? Write these answers down. This isn't about self-criticism, it's about self-awareness. It's about learning from each experience so that tomorrow you can be better. Another powerful practice is mental review. Before bed, replay your day like a movie in your mind. Notice your emotions, observe your reactions, Were there moments where you acted out of frustration or fear? Were there situations where you showed patience and wisdom? By simply observing without judgment, you develop the ability to respond differently in the future. This practice, over time, strengthens your emotional resilience. Seneca advised, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go over what I have done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I omit nothing. Why should I be afraid of any error when I can say, 'Beware of doing that again, and this time I pardon you'?" This is self-mastery in action, the ability to be both a teacher and a student to oneself. This habit of self-reflection doesn't just benefit your emotional well-being, it also transforms your relationships. When you take time to review your interactions, you become more aware of how you communicate. You notice whether you were truly present in conversations, whether you reacted with patience or impatience, whether you listened or simply waited for your turn to speak. This awareness allows you to improve, to show up better for the people in your life, and to cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections. There's also a sense of peace that comes with reflection. Instead of carrying the weight of the day's mistakes or stresses into tomorrow, you acknowledge them, learn from them, and let them go. You don't dwell. You don't let regrets pile up. You simply grow, one day at a time. So here's a challenge. Tonight, before you go to sleep, take 5 minutes to reflect on your day. Ask yourself, what did I learn? Where did I act in alignment with my values? Where did I fall short, and how can I improve tomorrow? Write it down or simply think about it, but make it a habit. The more you practice reflection, the more intentional, resilient, and emotionally strong you become. Because true strength isn't just about how we act in the moment, it's about how we learn from those moments. And when you reflect daily, you ensure that every day is a step forward, not just another day gone by. Habit 5. Practice daily gratitude. How often do you find yourself focusing on what you lack instead of what you already have? It's easy to get caught up in wanting more, a better job, a nicer home, more recognition. But the truth is, if you're always chasing what's next, you'll never appreciate what's now. The Stoics understood that gratitude is the foundation of a peaceful and resilient mind. When we take time to appreciate what we already have, we free ourselves from anxiety, comparison, and dissatisfaction. Instead of feeling like we're missing something, we realize we already have more than enough. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." This perspective shift is powerful. Think about it. How many things in your life today are things you once wished for? Maybe it's a job, a relationship, or even a simple convenience like running water and a warm bed. Yet, over time, these things become invisible to us. We stop appreciating them, but the moment we lose them, we realize just how valuable they were. The problem is, we live in a world that constantly pushes us to want more. Advertisements tell us we need the latest gadget. Social media makes us compare our lives to carefully curated highlight reels. We see what others have, and suddenly, what we have feels inadequate. But this is an illusion. The key to breaking free from this cycle isn't acquiring more. It's appreciating what's already in front of us. Gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It's a practice that strengthens emotional resilience. Studies show that people who practice daily gratitude experience lower stress, better relationships, and a greater sense of overall happiness. When we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance. We stop seeing problems as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities. Even difficulties become something to appreciate because they help us grow. Imagine you're having a stressful day at work. Deadlines are piling up. A co-worker is being difficult. You're overwhelmed. In that moment, it's easy to feel frustrated, to focus on what's wrong. But what if you paused and asked yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? Maybe it's the fact that you have a job that provides for you. Maybe it's a supportive friend or family member. Maybe it's simply the opportunity to learn and improve. This shift in perspective doesn't erase the challenges, but it helps you face them with a clearer, more balanced mind. Seneca believed that gratitude was not just about appreciating what we already have, but also about finding value even in difficult circumstances. He said, "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." This doesn't mean settling for less or not striving for improvement. It means finding contentment in the present while still working toward the future. So how can you make gratitude a daily habit? One of the simplest and most effective ways is through a gratitude journal. Every morning or evening, take a moment to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Sometimes it's the small things that matter most. A warm cup of coffee, a good conversation, the ability to breathe and move freely. The more you do this, the more your mind naturally starts looking for things to appreciate. Another powerful practice is verbalizing your gratitude. Take a moment to tell someone you appreciate them. Thank a friend for their support. Acknowledge a colleague's hard work. Let your loved ones know they matter. Expressing gratitude not only strengthens your relationships, but also deepens your own sense of fulfillment. Gratitude also transforms how you handle setbacks. The next time something doesn't go your way, instead of immediately reacting with frustration, pause and ask, "Is there anything about this situation I can still be grateful for?" Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, but you gained experience that will help you in the next interview. Maybe you had a disagreement with someone, but it gave you insight into how to communicate better. There is always something to appreciate if you train yourself to look for it. When you practice daily gratitude, you build emotional strength. You stop getting caught up in what's missing and start recognizing the abundance already in your life. Your stress decreases. Your mindset shifts. You become more patient, more content, more resilient. And over time, this simple habit rewires your brain to naturally focus on the positive, making emotional strength not just something you practice, but something you live. So here's your challenge. Every day for the next week, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Do it first thing in the morning or right before bed. Notice how it changes your perspective. The more you practice gratitude, the more you realize you already have everything you need to be at peace. Habit 6. Learn the art of letting go. How much of your emotional energy is spent holding on to things that no longer serve you? A past mistake, a failed relationship, an opportunity that slipped away. We cling to these things, replaying them in our minds, as if doing so will somehow change the outcome. But the Stoics understood a fundamental truth. To find peace, we must learn the art of letting go. The more we resist change, the more we suffer. True emotional strength comes from embracing impermanence and accepting that not everything is meant to stay. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight. This is a reminder that life is constantly shifting. People come and go, plans fall apart, expectations aren't met. But instead of resisting these natural changes, the Stoics teach us to flow with them. Clinging to what is already gone doesn't bring it back. Wishing something had happened differently doesn't rewrite history. The only thing we control is how we respond. And when we learn to let go, we reclaim our power. Think about a time when you held on to something for too long. Maybe a grudge, a regret, or a painful memory. Did it help you move forward? Or did it keep you stuck in the past? Imagine someone who loses their job. They can spend weeks feeling bitter, blaming others, and resenting what happened. Or they can accept it, learn from it, and take action to create new opportunities. The situation doesn't change, but their mindset does. This is the difference between stagnation and growth. Seneca advised, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a living man." This isn't just about physical death. It's about the fear of endings in all forms. The end of a relationship, the end of a phase in life, the end of an identity we once held. We fear letting go because it feels like losing control. But in reality, acceptance is control. When we let go of what we cannot change, we free ourselves from suffering. We create space for new experiences, new growth, and new strength. So how can we practice letting go in daily life? Start by recognizing what you're holding on to. Is there something from your past that still affects you today? A regret, a mistake, a painful memory? Acknowledge it. Accept that it happened. Then ask yourself, is holding on to this helping me? If the answer is no, it's time to release it. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means allowing yourself to process them and then moving forward. Another powerful exercise is shifting your perspective on loss. Instead of seeing endings as failures, view them as transitions. When something leaves your life, it creates room for something new. A closed door isn't just an ending, it's an opening to another path. When you internalize this truth, you stop fearing loss. You embrace it as part of life's natural rhythm. Letting go also applies to people. Sometimes we hold on to relationships that are no longer healthy. We chase validation from those who have already shown they are not meant to stay in our lives. But the Stoics remind us that we cannot control others. We can only control ourselves. If someone chooses to walk away, let them. If a relationship changes, accept it. Clinging to what no longer exists only leads to pain. This practice isn't easy. It requires emotional discipline, but over time, it strengthens you. You stop wasting energy on things you cannot change. You stop being ruled by regret. You start living in the present, fully engaged with what is, rather than being trapped in what was. This is the essence of emotional freedom. So here's your challenge. Identify one thing you've been holding on to, something from your past that no longer serves you. Write it down. Then, make the conscious decision to let it go. This doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing its hold over you. When you master the art of letting go, you develop unshakable resilience. You learn to accept life as it comes, without resistance or fear. And that is where true emotional strength begins. Habit 7. Set clear priorities. Every day, you wake up with a limited amount of time and energy. Yet, how often do you feel like your day is dictated by distractions, other people's demands, or tasks that don't truly matter? The Stoics believed that clarity in priorities is essential for a meaningful life. Without clear priorities, we become reactive instead of proactive, drifting through life rather than taking control of it. True emotional strength comes from knowing what is important and directing our focus toward it, without being swayed by trivial matters. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of this principle. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't meant to be a dark thought. It was a call to action. It was a reminder to focus on what truly matters, because time is finite. If today were your last day, would you want to spend it worrying about minor inconveniences? Would you want to waste energy on arguments that don't matter? Or would you want to invest in things that bring real meaning to your life? The problem is, most of us get caught up in the urgent but unimportant. We check notifications the moment we wake up. We rush to answer emails, attend meetings, fulfill obligations, only to reach the end of the day feeling drained but unfulfilled. The reason? We didn't set clear priorities. Instead of consciously choosing what matters, we let the world decide for us. Imagine two people. One wakes up and immediately checks their phone, responding to messages, scrolling through social media, and reacting to whatever comes their way. The other wakes up and takes a moment to think, "What is the most important thing I need to do today?" They write it down. They structure their day around it. They protect their time from distractions. By the end of the day, who do you think feels more accomplished, more in control, more at peace? Seneca advised, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." He understood that life isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things. Setting priorities means recognizing that not everything deserves your attention. Some things are essential. Others are distractions disguised as responsibilities. So, how do you determine what truly matters? One of the best ways is to define your core values. What is most important to you? Is it personal growth, family, meaningful work, health, contribution to others? Once you know your values, making decisions becomes easier. If something doesn't align with your core priorities, it's not worth your time. Another practical strategy is the 3 most important things rule. Each morning, write down 3 key things that, if accomplished, would make the day successful. These aren't minor tasks like responding to emails. They're the actions that move your life forward. Maybe it's making progress on a meaningful project. Maybe it's spending quality time with a loved one. Maybe it's practicing self-discipline in an area you've struggled with. Whatever it is, once you set these priorities, commit to them fully. Prioritizing also means learning to say no. If you always say yes to every request, every favor, every distraction, you're letting other people dictate your time. The Stoics believed in self-mastery, and that includes mastering your schedule. If something doesn't align with your priorities, have the discipline to decline it. Because every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something that truly matters. This approach isn't just about productivity, it's about emotional resilience. When you live according to your priorities, you feel more in control, less stressed and more fulfilled. You no longer feel overwhelmed by 100 different obligations because you've chosen where to focus your energy. And here's the key. Your priorities should not be based on what others expect from you, but on what is truly meaningful to you. Many people spend years chasing goals that society, family, or culture have placed upon them, only to realize too late that they never really wanted those things. That's why self-reflection is crucial. Regularly ask yourself, am I spending my time on what truly matters, or am I just staying busy? To put this into practice, here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you get caught up in the day's chaos, take 5 minutes to define your top 3 priorities. Write them down. Protect your time for them. And at the end of the day, reflect. Did I focus on what mattered, or did I let distractions take over? This small shift can transform your life, because when you set clear priorities, you're no longer just reacting to life, you're choosing the direction of your own path. And that is the foundation of true emotional strength. Habit 8. Embrace discomfort as growth. How often do we avoid discomfort? We take the easier path, we stay in our comfort zones, we resist anything that feels too difficult or uncertain. But the Stoics understood something that most people spend their whole lives running from. Discomfort is not something to fear. It is the foundation of growth. If you want to build emotional strength, you must stop avoiding difficulty and start embracing it as an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is one of the most powerful Stoic principles. It means that the very thing we see as an obstacle is actually the path forward. Struggle is not a sign that we are failing. It is a sign that we are growing. Every time we choose to face discomfort rather than run from it, we develop a deeper sense of control over ourselves. Think about it. How do muscles grow? By being put under stress. The same applies to your mind, your emotions, and your character. If you always take the easy route, avoiding difficult conversations, backing away from challenges, distracting yourself from your problems, you don't become stronger. You become weaker. Emotional strength is built not by avoiding difficulty, but by stepping into it. Now, imagine 2 people. One avoids discomfort at all costs. They never take risks, never push themselves, never face difficult emotions head-on. When life inevitably throws challenges their way, they crumble. The other person has trained themselves to embrace discomfort. They understand that pain is temporary, but growth is permanent. They lean into difficult situations, knowing that every challenge is an opportunity to become stronger. Who do you think is more resilient? Who do you think is more prepared for life's inevitable struggles? Seneca put it simply, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Every time you do something uncomfortable, whether it's facing a fear, stepping out of your comfort zone, or enduring temporary pain, you are strengthening your mind. You are training yourself to be someone who does not break under pressure. So how do we apply this in daily life? Start by seeking out small discomforts deliberately. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations, have them. Instead of choosing the easiest option, challenge yourself. If you're nervous about speaking up, do it anyway. If you're afraid to take on a new challenge, take the first step. When you feel discomfort, instead of resisting it, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How is this making me stronger? Another way to train yourself is through voluntary hardship, a practice the Stoics used to develop resilience. Seneca, for example, would deliberately live in poverty for short periods of time, even though he was wealthy. He did this to remind himself that he could endure discomfort. He said, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" This exercise removes fear. When you intentionally expose yourself to discomfort, You realize that you can handle more than you think. This mindset can also help in handling emotional discomfort. Many people suppress difficult emotions, anger, sadness, fear, because they don't want to feel them. But avoiding emotions doesn't make them disappear. It only makes them more powerful. The Stoic approach is different. Feel the discomfort, but do not be controlled by it. If you are experiencing loss, grief, or disappointment, allow yourself to feel it, but do not let it define you. Recognize that pain is a teacher, not a prison. Let's take a simple example. You have a goal to improve your physical health, but you hate exercise. Every time you think about working out, you feel resistance. Your mind tells you, "This is too hard. I don't want to do this." But what if, instead of seeing discomfort as a reason to stop, you saw it as proof that you're on the right track? What if you said, "This discomfort is making me stronger"? Over time, you train yourself to push through resistance, and eventually, what once felt impossible becomes second nature. This applies to every area of life. Want to build better relationships? That
Here's the
means
harsh
having
truth.
difficult but necessary conversations. Want to advance in your career? That means taking on challenges that stretch you beyond your comfort zone. Want to develop unshakable emotional strength? That means facing fear, uncertainty, and discomfort head-on. So here's your challenge. Choose one thing today that makes you uncomfortable and do it anyway. Maybe it's speaking up when you'd normally stay silent. Maybe it's pushing yourself to take action on something you've been avoiding. Maybe it's simply sitting with an uncomfortable emotion instead of distracting yourself. Whatever it is, remind yourself growth is on the other side of discomfort. When you start seeing discomfort as a tool for growth, everything changes. You stop fearing challenges. You stop avoiding struggle. You start embracing difficulty as an opportunity to become stronger. And that is where true emotional strength is built. Habit 9. Practice mental detachment. How often do you feel overwhelmed by the chaos around you, by the opinions of others, by negative news, by things that you have no control over? We live in a world that constantly demands our attention, pulling us in different directions and making it easy to feel emotionally drained. But the Stoics had a solution to this: mental detachment. The ability to remain present without getting consumed by external events, to observe without being pulled into the emotional storm, to see things for what they are, but not let them dictate your inner peace. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the essence of mental detachment. We cannot control everything that happens around us. What others think, what they say, the setbacks that come our way, but we can control how we respond. The problem is, most people react automatically, letting external events dictate their emotions. Someone criticizes them, and they feel angry. They hear bad news, and they spiral into anxiety. They face a setback, and they immediately feel defeated. But the Stoic approach is different. Pause, step back, and detach. Think of it this way. Imagine standing on a busy street, watching people rush by. Some are arguing, some are stressed, some are laughing. But you're just observing. You're not reacting. You're not getting involved in every conversation. Now, apply that same mindset to your own thoughts and emotions. Instead of instantly reacting to everything around you, step back. Observe. Ask yourself, is this within my control? Is this worth my energy? If the answer is no, let it go. Marcus Aurelius wrote, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Mental detachment is that strength. It doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending things don't matter. It means creating emotional space between you and the situation. It means choosing a response rather than reacting impulsively. Think about a time when someone insulted you. Maybe a coworker made a passive-aggressive comment. Maybe a stranger criticized you online. Your instinct might have been to react, to defend yourself, to argue, to feel hurt. But what if instead you practiced detachment? What if you reminded yourself, their words are not in my control, my reaction is? What if you saw their comment for what it really was, a reflection of their own issues, not yours? When you detach, you free yourself. You stop giving others power over your emotions. This applies to all areas of life. Let's say you're waiting for a promotion at work and someone else gets it instead. It's easy to feel frustrated, to dwell on what could have been. But ask yourself, does dwelling on this change anything? No. What does? Accepting it, learning from it, and moving forward with clarity. Another common example, scrolling through the news or social media and feeling overwhelmed by negativity. Bad things happen in the world, but does allowing yourself to be emotionally drained by every piece of news make you stronger? No. The Stoics would say, be informed, but don't be consumed. Care, but don't let it steal your inner peace. Mental detachment helps you focus on what truly matters. So, how do you practice this? One of the simplest ways is the pause method. Before reacting emotionally, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this within my control? Does this deserve my energy? This small habit can stop you from being swept up in unnecessary stress. Another technique is mental labeling. When you feel an emotional reaction coming on, whether it's frustration, anger, or sadness, label it. This is frustration. This is disappointment. By naming it, you create distance between you and the emotion, making it easier to detach. Seneca advised, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Much of our stress comes not from reality itself, but from the stories we tell ourselves about it. When you practice mental detachment, you stop creating unnecessary suffering. You accept life as it is, not as you wish it to be. So here's your challenge. The next time something triggers an emotional reaction, pause, step back. Ask yourself, is this in my control? Will this matter a year from now? If not, let it go. This practice will transform the way you handle stress, criticism, and uncertainty. Because real emotional strength isn't about controlling the world, it's about mastering your own mind. Habit 10. Set a daily purpose. How often do you wake up and simply go through the motions of your day, reacting to emails, responding to obligations, letting external demands dictate how you spend your time? Without a clear purpose, life can feel like an endless cycle of tasks and distractions. The Stoics believed that every day should be lived with intention. By setting a daily purpose, you bring direction, focus, and meaning to your life. You no longer let the day control you, you take control of the day. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, what do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for?" This is a reminder that every morning we have a choice. We can let the day pull us in random directions, or we can start with purpose. knowing exactly what we want to focus on, what values we want to embody, and what kind of person we want to be. Setting a daily purpose doesn't mean overloading yourself with a long to-do list. It's about choosing one clear intention that gives meaning to your day. Maybe today, your purpose is to practice patience. Maybe it's to stay focused on an important project. Maybe it's to be fully present with your loved ones. Whatever it is, defining it in the morning sets the tone for everything else. Think about the difference between a person who starts their day with a purpose and someone who doesn't. The first wakes up, reflects on what truly matters, and moves through the day with clarity. The second wakes up, checks their phone, gets lost in notifications, and spends the day reacting rather than acting. Who do you think feels more fulfilled by the end of the day? Who do you think builds emotional strength? Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Without direction, we drift. When we don't define what's important, we get pulled in 100 different directions, wasting time on things that don't truly matter. But when we set a clear purpose each day, we prioritize what aligns with our values. We stop letting distractions consume our energy. So how do you do this? The best way is to start each morning by setting a simple but powerful intention. Ask yourself, what is the most important thing for me to focus on today? Write it down. It doesn't have to be a major goal. It can be something as simple as, today I will practice patience, or today I will focus on deep work without distractions. The key is clarity. By setting this intention, you create a mental framework that guides your decisions. Another powerful practice is Stoic morning reflection. Marcus Aurelius would begin his day by reminding himself of the challenges he would face: impatient people, unexpected obstacles, moments of frustration. But instead of letting these things control him, he prepared himself. He set his mind to respond with wisdom, not impulse. You can do the same. Before the day begins, remind yourself, no matter what happens today, I will choose how I respond. This habit not only gives you emotional clarity, but it also helps you avoid regret. How often do we reach the end of the day and feel like we didn't use our time well, like we were busy but not productive? Setting a daily purpose eliminates this problem. It ensures that each day contributes to something meaningful, whether it's personal growth, building resilience, or making a positive impact. Setting a purpose also strengthens self-discipline. When you have a clear focus, you're less likely to waste time. You stop getting distracted by things that don't matter. You stop letting emotions dictate your actions. Instead, you move with intention, aligning your choices with your deeper values. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you dive into work, take 1 minute to set a purpose for the day. Write it down. Reflect on it. Keep it in your mind as you go through your day. Notice how it shifts your focus. Notice how it helps you navigate challenges with greater clarity and resilience. Because when you set a daily purpose, you don't just let life happen to you, you shape it. And that is the essence of true emotional strength. Throughout this video, we've explored 10 powerful habits that can help you build true emotional strength. Habits that the Stoics lived by. Habits that give you the ability to stay calm in chaos, resilient in adversity, and grounded in what truly matters. From focusing only on what you can control to practicing mental detachment, from embracing discomfort to setting a daily purpose. Each of these principles is a tool that empowers you to take control of your emotions rather than letting them control you. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable, that challenges will come, and that suffering is often created in our own minds. But the key to resilience is not avoiding hardships, it's mastering how we respond to them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the core of Stoic philosophy. The world will always be full of distractions, setbacks, and uncertainties. But your inner world, that is something you can shape. And by applying these habits consistently, you develop the clarity, wisdom, and self-mastery needed to navigate life with confidence. Now, knowledge alone is not enough. The real transformation happens when you apply these principles in daily life. So here's your challenge. Choose one habit from this video and commit to practicing it for the next 7 days. Whether it's taking the inner pause before reacting, setting clear priorities, or embracing discomfort instead of avoiding it, make it a daily practice. Small, intentional actions lead to profound change over time. If you found value in this video, make sure to like and subscribe to Stoic Teachings today for more insights on Stoic habits, resilience training, and mindset mastery. Share this video with someone who could benefit from these lessons and leave a comment below. Which habit will you start practicing today? Let's build emotional strength together, one habit at a time.